Hi, everyone. It's Shannon Port, and I welcome you to the Art of the Feminine podcast. I'm just going to take a second, and I'm going to ask if you can hear me all right, because I'm on a different setup, and I have a different microphone going, and so I'm just going to look on chat. If anyone could just let me know if you can hear me. It looked like by the settings everything was good to go. I don't see anything coming in, so I hope you guys can hear me. If for any reason you can't hear me, I'll just have to start over. Um, let's see. Let me just check one more place. Oh, good. Okay, wonderful. Great. All right, so welcome. Today is Sunday, and we've been doing these live streams mostly on Fridays. But this week it didn't work out for Friday, and so I thought it's kind of a nice change to be here live on a Sunday. So we are going to talk about the North Node moving into the sign of Cancer, and the title of this video is The Return of the Cosmic Mother. And it's a very, very sacred, it's a sacred topic to bring in, and it's very dear to my heart. And so that's the platform I want to create today. I want to speak to hearts. I want to speak to the mother deep within you and take some time to just call that in together. And so that being said, I have a quick announcement that I'm planning to do a different format of video soon. And so we've been doing these live streams, and I have never actually uploaded videos to YouTube, but I'm planning to start doing that. And so they're going to be shorter videos, like 5 or 10 minute videos. And so subscribe to the channel if you want to be notified when those go up. And part of the reason for doing that is that when we do these live streams, they tend to get pretty long, and it is because I'm always trying to fit in a lot of information. And I realized that if I make some shorter videos throughout the week to supplement, then the live streams can be a little less of a time commitment. And so that being said, it's really good to see all of you. I'm just going to take a quick peek and see. Oh, it's so nice to see you. Hello to everyone. And so, let's talk about the North Node moving into Cancer. It happens around November 6th. Let's see, before that happens, we will have a fixed cross with the nodes, the North Node and the South Node in Leo and Aquarius, in a fixed cross. That means an exact square at 0 degrees with Venus retrograde, 0 degrees Scorpio, and Uranus retrograde at 0 degrees of Taurus. This is a really, really powerful fixed cross happening. I want to just bring that in for a moment before we go into the Cancer North Node, because this is really setting up this movement of the focus of our collective psyche, because the nodes, the nodal points, they represent all of astrology is really our psyche outpictured. It represents where the collective psyche will be guided, which elements of our psyche we are going to be transmuting, uplifting, and healing. And that will be moving from the sign of Leo into the sign of Cancer. Now, Cancer is a water sign, Leo is a fire sign. We're moving into the mother. We're moving into the sign of the primordial archetypal mother. We're going to talk all about the mother in this video. The cosmic mother is within us and on the outside. But when we link up with our own cosmic mother, we activate our connection with all of creation. Creation is nothing more than the crystallization. Now, this is metaphysics, of course. We're getting into the esoteric teachings, but which can be experienced. And so they're not just something that's far out there. Through meditation, through this awakening of consciousness, we can actually experience this. We're moving into the sign of the mother. The mother is the birther of all creation. So through our connection with our consciousness, we gain the ability to actually co-create what we crystallize. That is the magic of this sign of Cancer. Now, Cancer and Capricorn sit on this axis together. Capricorn has been really, really really, there's been a lot of focus in Capricorn, and the cardinal signs over the past few years. But Capricorn, right now, we have Pluto sitting in Capricorn at 18 degrees. We have Saturn in Capricorn, where Saturn's going to be there for a while, for a good another year and a half, I think. I mean, it's cool. We have quite a bit more time with Saturn in Capricorn. Saturn will eventually conjunct Pluto while we have this North Node in Cancer. And so really, and then eventually Pluto or Jupiter is going to enter Capricorn, and we'll have Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto all in the sign of the primordial father. And what in exoteric astrology, it's the father principle and the patriarchy. The esoteric meaning is always a bit different. And same with Cancer. Cancer on the exoteric level of astrology is the home, the mother, nurturing emotions, and all of the things that we think of when we think of the polarity of the mother principle. And in the esoteric wisdom, it's profoundly rich and deep with the symbolism and the actual elements of our psyche that we need to awaken the Sophia within us and connect it with the Sophia on the outside. So we have this fixed cross happening, and what the fixed cross is going to activate, it's going to activate Earth with Taurus. It's going to activate Scorpio, which we talked about Scorpio recently with our Venus retrograde in Scorpio. Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, and it represents the cosmic abyss. Cancer being ruled by the moon in the archetypes is, there's two moons. We have key 2, the high priestess, and then we have key 18, the moon. The high priestess, being the Hebrew letter Gimel, represents the 13th path, which is the uniting intelligence and the ability to cross the abyss. So it's this sign of Cancer that gives us the power to actually cross the abyss and unite the above and the below, the within and the without. And this happens through the power of the cosmic mother within us. All right, so at that cross, we're going to have Venus. Venus rules emotions. Cancer is all about our emotional body. Venus in Scorpio retrograde, we talked about her taking on some of the qualities of Lilith and really getting down deep in the underworld of Scorpio and in the abyss. But directly opposite Uranus, which is the limitless light. It's the LVX, and it's the Ein Sof R. It's really the highest vibration of the Christic force. So we have Venus and Uranus exactly at 0 degrees of each sign, opposing each other and squaring the nodes. This is like a cosmic kickoff to the North Node entering into the sign of Cancer, because now it's like saying, we're going to ground this into Earth. We're going to do the work in the underworld of Scorpio, and we're going to bring Scorpio. Taurus axis is very much connected to the divine feminine wisdom as well. So this is being activated, and it's being activated. It's like a last dance, a last kiss with the North Node in Leo, because Leo was the sign of the fiery sign of consciousness in the heart. And now we're going into Cancer, the watery, deep, deep sign. So Leo is the passionate fire sign that really is about the outer world and the outer stage in the exoteric. Very closely related to Venus, because we know Venus does her dance with the sun. Venus is the transmitter of the Christic light, which is represented through the sun. Uranus being a higher octave of that as well. And Uranus also governs the zodiac. Uranus is Hokomon, the tree of life, and it represents the entire zodiac. The zodiac really is a form of the underworld. The whole zodiac is really the underbelly of our subconscious mind. And that's what we are doing when we transmute with the nodes. So as the node is moving into Cancer, we're going to all have the opportunity to work with the mother within. So I'm just going to take a moment, stop, and take a peek, see what you guys have to say. Oh yeah, the Uranian energy. Yeah, it's so strong right now. Hello. A lot of Scorpio energy as well. Jupiter is going to trine. Jupiter will trine the node as is going to trine the north node, because Jupiter is in Scorpio, a water sign, with and the north node will be entering into Cancer, water sign, but they're going to trine. I think it's right before she goes in, right before the north node goes into Cancer. All right, glad you can hear me too. So, okay, so I want to say some, let's see. So and I mentioned, while the north node is in Cancer, Saturn will conjunct Pluto. It's going to be a lot of transformation at that time. It's in, I didn't write down the date and I can't remember it right off, but it's in about a year or so. We're in for some time of deep, deep transformation. What I want to say about the North Node in Cancer is that this is really a time to be the frequency that can handle the revelations that are coming. So Cancer is the Chariot in the archetypes. And the Chariot represents our own chariot of fire, but that happens when we come into it's key 7. The number 7 is a very, very powerful number. The number 7 is the number that links the divine plane with the physical plane. We work with 7, and in the human body has the 7 main chakras, which are portals that actually light up the Merkaba, which is represented through the archetype of the Chariot. So in the Chariot is Cancer. This tells us something about what this mother deep within us is capable of, why we have to know her, why we have to visit her, why we have to understand that we each have our own divine mother within us. There's no other way. We have to know that nobody can force us to realize that except ourselves. And I believe it was the Christ said, I can't remember the exact words, but was it, son, behold the mother, or behold thy mother? This is truly the representation of the Christic force, understanding the light, which is also like this light of Leo that we talk about when we talk about the sun, going into the depths to activate for human consciousness, which is each one of us individually, our own subconscious mind, because it's our own subconscious mind that is the substratum and the foundation of our being. If we don't know our subconscious mind, we'll never be in control. We'll never have the command, and we'll never, key 7 represents ascension. It's the Chariot, it's the Merkaba. And so we have to know it's the mother that gives us the platform to ascend. And so now let's just take a moment and visit the mother and ask her what it is that we need to know at this time, because it's also the sign of receptivity. When 7 is also the number of Neptune, and and Cancer is a water sign, and it's about understanding our emotions and our perception of the world. We have to understand that our perception is created by our habitual thinking, our habitual words, and our habitual emotions. Those things that form patterns within us create this foundation that then crystallizes into form our world. Now, so let's take it back to key 7, back to the Hebrew letter Ket, which is the Hebrew letter for the Chariot, and it means fence. It's like an enclosement. And what that means is that each one of us is a unit of consciousness. So we have to understand, we have to know thyself. We look out into the world and we want the world to be fixed. We want the world to heal us. We want a teacher to heal us. We want an outer God to heal us. But because the wisdom of this letter teaches us that each one of us is our own unit, we're a drop in the ocean, and it's the moon governs the ocean, Cancer. And so we have to understand that we have to tend to our own unit if we want to awaken that unit and join with the whole. The power to do that happens when we find the source and find the sun that's buried within the mother deep. When the uniting intelligence joins the sun and the moon, and when that happens, our chariot is aflame. We build our vehicle of ascension, and that is what's represented by the sign of Cancer. But it's that's the wisdom. That's the esoteric talk. We have to know it through the heart, though. Wisdom is not wisdom if it's only in the intellect. So often these days, you see since the beginning of time, people fight over the wisdom. Who has the wisdom? Who knows the truth? Who has the mystery teachings? Who knows it? The truth is that, and the North Node in Cancer is going to teach us that it doesn't matter what you know. Knowledge is not activated until we become receptive. And when we become receptive, we open our heart, our higher heart. And when we open our heart, we understand our relationship with the cosmos. In order to do that, we have to do a little transmuting. And so what Cancer tells us is that this platform that we have is built from our lineage. When we're born, Cancer's the mother, so this is going to rule fertility as well. When we're born, we inherit things. We inherit our DNA. We inherit the genetic patterns of the lineage that we come through. We also inherit the social programming that we're given as we grow. And so what happens is we have what we inherited, and we have our karma. We have what we've accumulated through our past experiences. If you want to say past lives, it's through every time we've lived, we've built up an accumulation, a shell. In Cancer is a crustacean. We've accumulated this patterning, and so we're going to have to transmute some of it to access the real crystallization of the truth of who we are. That means that through our emotions, through our perception, and through our inner understanding, we're going to have to take a look at ourselves and choose again. And it's the Divine Mother that helps us do that. So Cancer also rules the fire water, because within us, so the sign of Cancer is like a 69. It's like a 69 on its side. So when you take the numbers 6 and 9, we have Venus and Mars. So we have the masculine and feminine right there. 6 is the number of Venus in numerology, and 9 is the number of Mars. There's other correspondences to those numbers and to those planets as well, but 69 is really, it's the lovers intertwined around each other, and it shows that within our deep subconscious mind, we have the passionate fire of feeling and emotion, and we also have the fluid. There's a lot here, but the moon is the substance of creation. It's the Akashic ocean. And so the High Priestess, key 2, represents that substance. And that substance is the fiery water. It's part fire and it's part water. It's both elements. And we command that. We command that by understanding the I am within us. And the true Merkaba is just the awakening of our I am. I am is the great mantra, and knowing that I am that is the true understanding. So now let's talk just a little bit about Cancer, just in some things that sort of open the heart. Cancer is the mother birthing, building feminine principle. So we build our home, it builds our home, just like our physical outer shell, our outer home that we live in. It also builds our body, because the platform and the patterns that we have within us actually build our body and they crystallize the world. So we have to become the mother of our own personality. We have to understand, and this is why the Divine Feminine is so powerful right now, because all of us need a mother. This is what I want to talk about. I'm just going to jump to this right now because there's too much to say here, and I'm not going to go too much longer. Divine will is the esoteric meaning of Cancer. Divine will. Divine will is the Divine Mother. When you align with your inner divine will, you will understand who you really are. You will stop looking to be healed on the outer. You will. We need to heal and we need to grieve, but we don't want to get stuck there. That's a process of purging and letting things out. Then we want to bring it right back to that process of understanding our inner mother. And it's when I work with many people, as you know, and when I'm mentoring, there isn't a week that goes by that I don't work with someone who has trauma in the areas of some kind of abuse or sexuality or addiction. There's all of it, because it's so common. Just about everybody has something like that. But a huge emphasis in our work is that we need to grieve in pain, but then learn to use that as our creative force, and then to understand the truth beyond that. because it isn't until we know we have to, it's so funny when I was looking around at cancer, things people were saying about cancer, people were saying, oh, it's time that the outer world's going to validate our emotions and validate the feminine. And we're finally going to be validated. And it's true, but we can't seek it. If we're just seeking it in the outer, it's an endless search. The search is endless. We have to validate, we have to learn to be our own mother and validate our own emotions. It's a very private matter, and it has to do with accessing the silence within us where we really know the truth that there is no competition. We are all the Divine Mother in form. All of creation, it's the Divine Mother which has been projected into reality, and we each have our own Divine Mother within us. We have to know her. We have to nurture our inner child and understand. When you gain that wisdom, you will merge the sun and the moon within you, and you will light up your chariot of fire. That this is really ascension. Ascension is an act of consciousness. It can't be given to us by anyone. Nobody can arrive and give us ascension. Ascension happens when we finally realize it's time to go in and get really intimate with this mother principle, which is represented in Cancer. So it has to do with frequency. We have to be at the frequency for all of this to happen. That means there's a healing process. I'm just going to check in with these. How does one deal with the eventuality of death? Oh, that's a great question. And I'm going to, my heart is her heart is my heart. That's so true. Yeah, let's talk about death. Okay, so just a minute, I will come back to that. We have to, death is inevitable. I mean, in this world, we do die. Our mythology tells us that our elders and those the ancients and the ancient wisdom tells us that there is a frequency beyond the frequency we're in right now, where we become the infinite, immortal principle. I absolutely subscribe to that. I don't have time I teach it in light body yoga. I don't have time to go way into that now, but we are infinite. Our consciousness is infinite. So let's just start with consciousness, talking about death. We can't die because our consciousness can't die. It changes forms. Everything is just changing. When I was thinking about this today and yesterday, and even just being a mother in 3D, watching my son grow, it's crazy. I just looked at like 10,000 pictures and they flashed before me and I saw change, because when you go through your pictures and you watch from point A to point B, everything changes. We can never grip the past. We can honor the past and lovingly evoke it in our heart. I'm not a person who believes in, like some of the more male consciousness of awakening believe trash the past. It's not here. It will do you no good. I don't believe that. I believe memory is the mother, because the memory principle is the mother. It's Akasha. It's the Akashic records. It's the moon, the high priestess, and she records everything. She doesn't forget things. Everything, just like we record our pictures from our phones on iPhoto, we record things for a reason. It's very feminine to want to remember. So a lot of these teachings, and I'm very cozy with many of them, but many of them are very masculine. Let's say throw that out. That's not, we need to have both. So right now, we live in a celebrity obsessed culture. I'm kind of jumping around, but this is to bring us into Cancer. Everything is so obsessed with social media, the outer, and celebrity. Although it's getting kind of like people are losing interest, you can feel it. I recommend with Cancer, with the North Node coming into Cancer, to just be a rebel by letting go of all of it. Don't worry about who you are in the world or being validated in the world. Every form changes in this world. We start out young, we grow old. In between, we have all kinds of rich experiences. Eventually, our form is not as bright and happy as it was when we were young, but we're changing. And that's in this reality, we change. The soul is always the same and always growing. This outer reality is teaching us to really be kind of obsessed and addicted to a certain particular kind of form. Part of that is for a reason that we are going to eventually have our infinite forms that don't age and die and all of that. But the other part is a trick to get us to not unplug. We need to unplug, and you can only know the mother when you unplug. The inner mother, you have to meet her in silence. Then she'll show you the world. She will show you the universe and take you on all kinds of adventures. The cosmos opens to you. You know, I think of the Christ saying, "Behold the mother." It's really opening the seven. My Father has many mansions. It's opening up the many mansions of this world, and the kingdom of heaven is within you. It's the mother principle. In the occult teachings and in esoteric wisdom, often what we call the father is really the mother. That's a whole long story. But what we think of as the father is really the mother. It's because the poles are flipping as we go up and down, even in our own chakra systems, up and down the different levels of consciousness. The poles flip from masculine to feminine to masculine to feminine. What is the mother on one level is the father on another, is the mother on another, and on and on and on. That's the way the masculine and feminine work. So I wanted to leave that message really, really know your heart, know your emotions, and know that the Hebrew letter ket, it represents speech, and our constant speech that we hear in our mind is building your body and building your word. We can't hear the speech that's in our mind, but sound is the birther of light, and light is the birther of matter. The sounds we speak within and without are creating our reality. We have to mostly get a hold of what we're speaking on the inner. And this brings me to polarity. A lot of times we talk about truth and justice and kindness and love, but some of the people I know that talk about that the most. So if you can see, when you are able to see, you know, beyond the physical world, and you can see a lot of times when people are talking like that, the true reality that's happening on the inner plane is the exact opposite. Oftentimes human beings say one thing: I love you, I love you. I hate you, I hate you. I'm about honesty, I'm about deception, I'm about unity, I'm about judgment. Meaning a lot of times when we come into the world, we're talking about one thing. The polarity grows stronger within us. It's that polarity that we have to meet within ourselves and neutralize. That's how we get to the mother. That's how we get to the real mother. And that's what the path of healing and the path of the divine mother is about. That's what the path of initiation is about. Divine will, trust, let me see, hold the island of love within you. We are anchoring that island each one of us is an island in the great island. So in terms of the world, I want to just talk about the world for a moment. There is a lot of harsh reality out there, a lot of warring. We talked about this in the polarity wars. We need to take part because we're human, and being feminine is taking part. We need to take part, but get wise to when you're being manipulated and controlled, and when when your inner divine will is leading, you will march to a different beat. You will find a new way to completely change the system. The system is the crystallization of our collective consciousness. And so the dramas we create, even court dramas, court hearings are dramas. The real court takes place, the real scales of Libra and Athena are within the heart. When your heart is neutralized and you speak on the outer what you're feeling in the inner, your scales come into balance and you open your heart. When I myself am true, when I practice what I'm speaking, when I truly am, I am that thing, the portal of I am opens. So, and we become the island of light. That is the work of this time of the mother. Your perception will come by understanding the patterns of thinking and speech that you hear over and over. We all have that one wound that won't leave us, a story that we hear over and over and over. And unfortunately, that story is creating itself in the outer. So think of the collective. Think of the billions of people who haven't even started healing that are hearing. It's in some ways, they say ignorance is bliss, because in some ways when you're ignorant and you don't care, you almost aren't creating the tragedy because you're tuned out of it. Eventually we have to be tuned in and address the tragedy within us in order to neutralize it. But that's why they say ignorance is bliss, because the person who doesn't care about any of this stuff is often a really powerful creator. And look no further than some of the elite in the world. However, that have plenty of material riches that haven't even started the journey of inner consciousness. However, we can have both. We can absolutely have both. So remember, the mother is the foundation. It's the psychological space that we have within us. Cancer governs the astral forces, and that's why we are, it has a lot to do with the scales in Libra as well. We are balancing those forces within us in order to be able to consciously create what we want. Visioning and dreaming is very powerful as well. Let me just take a quick look. See what I want to put in at the very end here. It's really important it's equilibrium. This is why it's equilibrium. I kept thinking Libra, but it's not. It's really, the equilibrium is as in the Star of David. So the Star of David, when it's interlocked, is key 7. It's the Chariot, and we are in the center. We're lit up in the center. So you have the 6 points with us in the center. That's the law of 7. So that Star of David represents the balancing of the fire and water principle. That is governed by the sign of Cancer. We see it in the number 69, the way that, let's see if I can make it. We see it by the way the 6 and the 9 interlock with each other. That's the same sign as the interlocking as the Star of David. So that only happens within. It only happens within. Our universe will change when we know the mother. Now, in terms of Cancer, how it relates to Capricorn, let's just say that they're both manifestors. Capricorn can really teach us how to manifest and bring spirit into form, and Cancer can teach us how to manifest from within. We have the without and the within. They work beautifully together. Do not shun the powers of Capricorn. Capricorn and Cancer work together, and they're the primordial mother and father energy. We need both if we want to have a reality. And so the North Node in Cancer, South Node in Capricorn is going to bring us a lot of healing as the eclipses roll in, and with Saturn conjunct Pluto, it's going to be amazing. And it's going to be a real shift. It really is time to shift to the mother energy. So I want to just talk about the mother energy on Earth, and then we'll close out. So the mother energy on Earth has been attacked. So this is a reality. Let's talk about the mother. I'm going to end on this note. The mother principle has been totally the dark, because there is a dark interplay happening that we interface with, is trying to push away the mother principle. It's trying to even say that women have been trained to be breeders. It's infiltrated feminism and really trying to make this angry wave of feminism that thinks that so there's a way to be a mother in the physical world. I'm a mother. I have a son. I birthed a son into the physical world, which is actually the outpicturing of how we birth our son within us. It's the same thing. Being a mother in this world, I want to say, and my work started in fertility. That's years ago how I got really, really into some of the understanding that came in was through understanding fertility in this world as a human. It's very sacred, the act of birthing a child. Some platforms will say that the dark forces have turned women into breeders. Not so. It has been used, but bringing a soul in as a woman is highly, highly blessed. When it's blessed by the Holy Spirit and by the sign of Cancer, when we understand the profundity of that, and as it becomes more conscious, and things are going to change the way we do that, and all of our polarity over things like abortion and all of that's all engineered. We won't even have that soon. That's not even meant. What we're meant to have is the understanding, this is what I teach in my work, of the power of the body. When we have that, we don't have to argue about the other thing. But when we lose that wisdom, which is trying to be wiped out right now, we get stuck in the outer. The true wisdom is in understanding, first of all, as we birth our children, we birth our world. The consciousness on this planet through the human being's birth is nothing more than the out picture of the woman birthing the child. And so it's very, very sacred. It's very, very sacred. I teach a whole course on it. I mean, just because it's like, it's, if you want to really dive into it, it's really, really powerful. But we're talking right now about birthing the child within us, which is absolutely as profound. The wonderful thing about birthing the child within us is that man and woman birth their own child. Man is a mother, woman is a mother. The mother principle represents all of us. It's not that we're not talking about the father. I talk about the father and the divine masculine all the time. But beyond that is the divine wisdom of this feminine principle that encompasses all of creation, is nothing but this principle. Women need to know their own power as women and as mothers, and need to validate their own emotions, take a step back, find out who you are within yourself, and then decide where you're going to put your energy. Don't be pulled by the show, the picture show that's trying to, the feminine energy. Think about it. When you get the whole entirety of the feminine force, when I'm talking about women right now, yelling and marching for things that are actually not very honoring of the feminine, what do you get? An inverted reality. This is something to meditate about, and it's coming through a particular, it's coming through my filter, but so it's not, it may or may not resonate, but it's within us. It's within us to gain the keys to all of this, and that's what this is about. So relationships are very important. Honoring each other, honoring our own mother is very, very important. Healing our relationship with our own mother and father, huge. Capricorn and Cancer. Heal your relationship with your mother and father as best you can. It will set you free. And if it's impossible for it to be done in this lifetime, come to terms with it, because it's very hard to get to the true inner work until that happens. That's part of the healing we need to do. I think I'm going to get ready to close. I'm going to just see if there was so much more to say, and that's why I'm excited. I'm going to be doing shorter videos. If anyone has any question, childbirth is a miracle. Oh, I want to say, I have to write about my own experience in childbirth. I had a natural birth, and it was not planned. I did not plan this birth, but I had the experience of merging, and that was the most profound thing I've ever experienced. And so there's a lot to be said about that. And we all have a mother. There's nobody on this. So even, it doesn't mean everyone needs to have a baby to know these things at all. Conception of absolutely. And that's what I work with when I teach the art of sacred fertility, is conception is profound too. And the conception is the merging that happens within us as well. We conceive our own inner child and our child of light. There was one other thing I was going to say. Yeah, being around mothers, supporting mothers. If you're not a mother, that's great. You have a mother. And even if you decide not to be a parent, that's wonderful. But we need to honor the act of how souls get to earth, which is our family. The family is tremendously powerful. The archetype of the family is the Trinity, and it represents the supernal Trinity. So the father, the mother, and the child are the act of the Trinity. So to say, there's a lot of saying that the nuclear family is bad, it's just not so. It's an archetype. It doesn't mean we have to have the nuclear family, but it's an archetype that we want to keep sacred in our world. We want to understand it. Thank you. Oh, you're so welcome. It's so nice to see you. Years of mother father healing, it's been freeing. Absolutely. Oh, it's the best thing in the world. The best thing in the world. Yeah, you don't, and you put a lot of energy into it, but you also want to know when it needs space, because most of the work, I can say this from my own experience, most of the work and the forgiveness comes from our own forgiveness of ourselves. Because we've grown up in a harsh reality, because we're living out patterns, it's nobody's fault. We've created all of this. It's time to understand that. We are the force. We are the force. All the teachings that teach I am that. There's nothing else to know. It can sound far out or abstract, but it's really not. And this is the time we're preparing, where as many of us as possible want to realize that, because when we do, we can breathe, we can speak, we can feel, we can perceive, and we realize we're not in danger. We never have been. This is a play that's been going around. Remember, Hokama rules the zodiac. Uranus rules the zodiac. The zodiac is the underworld where we're doing polarity integration. And we've created a lot of this stuff that's coming at us. We fix it within us, and then we spread the light. So how does that affect victims? Victims and slaves are the same. We need to, there's absolutely these things happening on the planet. And again, I address this all the time in the writing I do and the work I do. So I just want to be clear that is a very much a reality, but we can share the good news of the scriptures. The good news is the news that even the victim in the worst pain, in the worst circumstances, when we find that light, can transform the world. And if you've ever listened to the greatest stories of the most brutally abused victims that have gone to the other side, they will say it was that moment when I understood that the power was in me, and out of that understanding was birthed forgiveness. I forgave what I saw that was coming at me, and it broke up. It obviously, we could meditate on this and go deeper and deeper and deeper, but that's really it. I'm going to be talking about North Node in Cancer for a lot. For many of the videos that we do, it's going to be interwoven with all of them. I encourage you to think listening and being receptive is the gift of Cancer, and perceptive. My Cancer, I have 2 Cancer sisters, and I know some of you on right now are Cancer, and a lot of you have North Node in Cancer that are in my community. So just know that my Cancer friends are so perceptive and very good. They listen without even realizing it. They take it in. We all have to gain that quality. It's by truly listening that the mother can speak within us. That is the gift. There's so much more to say. And I look forward to bringing in more about this as we go. But I think I'm going to close. Just going to take one more peek. Yes, 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 yes. And I know you're a Cancer. All right. All right. Yes, we become independent. I love that you said that. Independence. We are independent beings. We're not slaves. I want to say, if we are in victim slave consciousness, we think we have a master. This is brilliant. I'm so glad you said that. And I want to end on this note. Don't be in slave victim consciousness, because it's not true. It's a lie. Break it. Break that mold. Find the new word inside you and understand. You will start laughing. You will start crying. You will want to hug everyone you know. And you will start to share the good news. And it will be, and you will also work. You'll be in service. You'll be the mother of the world. You will go, the mother of the world that's awoke, heals the children, that, because there's going to be plenty of people who have not a clue what we're talking about. But what that means is that we get to serve, and it becomes a joy to serve. It's so gratifying. We just show up where we're needed. We're guided to be where we're needed, and we know what to do. The mother always knows what to do. The real mother never abandons her child. But the child can be having an awful day. She still loves her child. She doesn't trade her child in for another child. The mother principle is what's awakening. We don't give up. The mother, I can say, will never give up, will never stop loving, will never stop knowing the beauty of the child. That is what we're awakening right now on Earth. And so thank you all for being here. And subscribe to the channel and hit the bell if you want to receive notifications. I'm excited to be doing some new videos, and I look forward to seeing more of you in the upcoming weeks and months. And so until we meet again, many blessings.